All right, so we made it. Thank you everyone for coming back and joining. So welcome to session number 2 of Babok Study Groups. Is there anyone here who missed session number 1? Okay, so we have a few. Well, I actually only see one. But for those who missed session 1, we actually have it recorded. We have a couple. We have it recorded. That was the introduction and overview. Not to worry, because we have it recorded. It's on our YouTube channel. Which is also and also on our LinkedIn page. So I will drop those links here in the chat in just a moment, and you can reference that. But that shouldn't stop you from attending this session, which is the first knowledge area. So you can have no problem attending this one, and you'll benefit from this one, and then you can go back to review the first one. Oh, there, thank you, Sak. It's the YouTube link in the chat. So today we are talking about business analysis, planning, and monitoring. Before we get right into that, we just want to thank IIBA Tampa Bay chapter, which Thea is a part of. She's actually the president of that chapter, and Watermark Learning for making this possible today. And just to remind you of the upcoming schedule, please take note, we have a long schedule ahead of us. We have to prepare the right way for this exam if we are to succeed. But stay with us this whole time, and you will have a good chance of success, especially if you use the Watermark materials and take full advantage of Thea's resources and what she's able to share with us. And of course, every time we have these sessions, I like to invite everyone to join our growing community. So this is our latest on-site activity. This was just a couple of this last month actually in Makati. So we have these hybrid events every now and then. And we are always open to having new members as part of the community. If you want to find out how you can make an impact and join the chapter, do events like these, involve your business, involve yourself as a professional, then here's how to reach out to us. And this coming Thursday, we have an upcoming event. It's actually related to our study groups, very much so, because the interviewing technique is a widely used technique in Babok, and it will be facilitated by Yuri Goman from IIBA Ukraine. Okay, so about to turn it over to Thea Soren. Needs no introduction, of course, for most of you. Here she is with us today. Very glad to have you with us, Thea.
Thank you, Manu. Okay, as Manu said, I'm from the IIBA Tampa Bay chapter. I've recently become the president of the chapter, but I'm continuing to be the vice president of career and professional development. I want to give you a few things before we start, just in case you haven't found them. I need you to turn sharing on, please, Manu.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
The IIBA Tampa Bay has provided a Google Drive for you all to access. It has a lot of really great information in it. I'm going to show you just a few things real quick, just in case you didn't see them before. Having the Babok, of course, is a mandatory thing that you need to have. Right now, if you're not a member of the IIBA, you have access to the Knowledge Hub, which has the Babok in it. The Babok is their business analysis body of knowledge. You have access to it for 7 days free. You just have to go to the IIBA and sign up. If you are a member of the IIBA, this month, only this month, you have a $50 US discount on your application fee for the CCBA or the CBAP, the Certified Business Analysis Professional test. So if you need to apply this month to get that savings, there is a spreadsheet that helps you a great deal, because once you start putting in your application, you have 7 days to finish it. And at the end of 7 days, it locks down. And it's not easy to finish. So it's easier to start it on the spreadsheet and then go from there. So let me share. I'm going to turn on multiple sharing. Let's see. I want to share this screen right here. Okay. So can you see this spreadsheet?
Yep.
Yes? Thank you.
Spreadsheet?
Okay,
Are you trying to share a spreadsheet?
Well, I am.
We are looking at the online study exam watermark
Yeah, we're seeing watermark.
webpage.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, watermark is the test that we're going to be taking. I'm going to show you just a few things real quick before we start the test. It's sharing a different screen than I expected. So let me grab something else and I'll pull it over to that screen. Okay, so this is our study group, Google Drive from Tampa Bay. You have access to this. This right here is what I want to show you first. This is what I'm doing for my own test preparation. And this is basically all the tasks down the left side with their purpose, input, elements, guidelines, techniques, stakeholders, and output. The reason that this is valuable, folks, is because you look at it this way and you see it differently than you do in the Babok. For instance, I'm going to go down to chapter 5 here. And looking at chapter 5, you see here's the task, here's the purposes. But if you look at it this way, you see that requirements and design are in every single task. You don't realize that whenever you're just trying to study through the book. This way, you can look at it and go, oh, if it doesn't have requirements and designs in it, it can't be one of the right answers. If it says, what are the inputs for this task in this chapter? This also gives you ideas about how the outputs are named. For instance, in the one we're in right now, every single one ends with the word approach except for the last one. That one's assessment. You don't know that unless you're looking at it in this kind of format. Manu said earlier, interviews were important. Interviews is the number one technique that's cited in all of the tasks in the Babok. So it's a really valuable thing to have. So I encourage you to look at this. I'm working on this for myself, and I'm going to keep working on it. I'm on, I think, chapter 5, but you have access to it, so you can get a copy of it yourself. Then you also have access to your study notes. Here's the log to put in your application. Here's infographics, all kinds of really good stuff in here. Next thing I want you to see is Bob Churchill's index of our YouTube channel. Here's the Google Drive again, and if you go down here to the bottom, here are all of our study groups that the recordings of all of our study groups of practice test questions by chapter. And then if you go down further, you've got the techniques. We've done a lot of different meetings on the different techniques. So you have access to all of that. Here's our YouTube channel. You can get to all of this. So let us go to the practice test questions. Those of you who were with us last week, you know we're going to be looking at the CBAP. We're going to go ahead and log in, and we're going to go to the very first knowledge area. Let's begin a new exam. Please come off mute. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read the question and the answers. I'm going to ask you which one of these answers cannot be true. It's like that word isn't even in the Babok. And which answer can be true. Whenever you tell me, if you say A is in apple, B is in boy, C is in cat, and D is in dog, it helps me go a lot faster because the B's and D's sound a lot alike. So just tell me which one you think it can be, and then I want you to tell me why you think it can be. because your reasoning of why it's the best answer according to Babcock helps us understand altogether. Sometimes you see something that other people don't see. So for the first question, which of the following is an input to the planned business analysis approach task? So this is talking about just this task, this one task in this chapter, and you need to know what the inputs are. So is it requirements, needs, designs, or solution scope? There may be other inputs, but which one of these is an input into this one? Please come off mute and talk to me.
B as in boy.
Why do you like B as in boy?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
What? Why do
What
you
it-
like needs?
Well, we have to, from the question, which of the following is an input? Because when the organization, I feel that the need is an input because it would require us to think about what needs to be or what should be done, what the change should be done.
That's good logic. Thank you.
Okay.
Do I have someone else? I need 2 answers for every question.
We also have Michelle from the chat who says B as in boy, so agrees. And then we have a different answer in the chat as well.
Solution
D.
scope. Yeah, I believe solution scope, because when there is a solution and the scope of applications that are impacted, that gives me an idea or the strategy to approach the analysis to gather requirements.
Okay, that's good logic too, but is that what the Babcock says? Or is that your experience?
I should say my experience. Apologies, I just bumped
Okay.
into this
No, it's
group,
okay.
study group, only yesterday.
Oh,
So
I
I think for next
understand.
one, I'll be more prepared.
Okay,
Oh,
that's
welcome.
okay.
Glad you're here.
Here's the deal, guys, and welcome. What our experience is doesn't always line up with exactly what the Babcock says. For you to pass the test, you got to know what the Babcock says. So
Yes,
I agree that
agree.
solution scope is important in our real life, but solution scope could be encompassed in needs, right? So I've been seeing several B's. Let's check the answer as B. And it is correct. Needs is the sole stated input for this task. Understanding what the needs are is ridiculously important to remember. So I almost make flashcards for so that I say which one is the need, and I have to figure it out and memorize it. Okay, so let's go to the next one. You have been hired as a senior business analyst on a project that will span 3 years. You discover that solution definitions have been defined and tasks are performed in specific phases. What approach is this project using? So this is not from chapter 3. This is from chapters 1 and 2. We're talking about the approaches. Now, approaches in the Babcock are kind of coded. Is it waterfall, extreme programming, Scrum, or Agile? Solution definitions have been defined, and tasks are performed in specific phases. Which one is it?
D as in dog, agile. Because I'm currently experiencing it now. I'm a new hire and we have a really big project and then we have to migrate to a new system. So I saw that what they're doing, they already have the user stories and then they are divided into sprints.
That makes sense. Whenever we're talking about specific phases, though, it might not be agile. I see another answer.
Waterfall.
A. Why do you think it's waterfall?
It's waterfall because we're using stage gates,
Phases.
and there is a long time instead of delivering within less than 4 weeks. So it should be waterfall.
Okay.
And it's already defined.
several
The scope is already defined.
Let's check this answer since I see several people that are saying A, and that is correct. Tasks are performed in specific phases. Now, waterfall, the word waterfall is not in the Babcock. The word that it uses instead of is predictive. The word it uses for the adaptive or agile is the word adaptive. So it's predictive or adaptive, which means waterfall or agile. Again, what we experience in real life is not always what the BABOK says, but you have to understand what the BABOK says because it's suggestions, and you need to understand it so that we're all on the same page. Okay, Gil has been identified as a key stakeholder in a project. His absence when determining the appropriate method to conduct business analysis activities could be considered a source of a risk. So his absence is a risk. The approach taken may also depend upon his availability. What type of stakeholder is Gil? Is Gil a tester, a domain subject matter expert, a sponsor, or an implementation subject matter expert? This comes out of, I think, Chapter 2, where it defines what the responsibilities of the different roles are. I see one answer that says B. I would like to know why you think it is a B. D? Okay.
Because
I see two
his
answers that say
inputs,
B.
without his inputs, the business analysis will be delayed. So it is telling me it's a key stakeholder. He could be domain subject matter expert because implementation comes towards the later stage.
Okay. Okay, I'm seeing more B's than anything else. So I'm going to go ahead and check this answer. And that is correct. Without a domain subject matter expert when conducting business analysis activities, we would not get all the information, right? Let's check some of these others. C, partially true. The selected approach may depend upon the sponsor's availability, and I see a D as another option. The stakeholder type is not involved in planning the BA approach. So this one couldn't be the answer. This one is the answer, and we're going to go with it. Let's go on. Okay, plan for the requirements reuse, which is a very important thing, is an element in which of the following tasks? So of the 5 tasks, which one is it an element of? Plan business analysis approach, plan business analysis in monitoring, plan business analysis information management, or plan traceability approach. I see a C.
I just went by the name information management and reusing the information of the requirements.
Okay, I've got 2 C's. Let's check this answer. And that is correct. Reusing requirements is in the plan business analysis information management task. Very good. Giorgio wants to interact with the groups of stakeholders to gain more information about them. What would you advise him to do? He wants to interact with groups. That's a key. He wants to develop a survey questionnaire with closed-ended questions, develop a survey questionnaire with open-ended questions, hold workshops, or organize lunch and learn meetings. Of the techniques that are in Chapter 3, what do we have? I see a B. I see 2 B's. Guys, why do you think B is the right answer? Or why do you think C is the right answer? I see a C.
I'd go by B because open-ended questions opens up more questions among the stakeholders. And yeah, questionnaire is a good idea when you have a group of stakeholders.
Okay. Does a survey or questionnaire allow you to interact with the group better than a workshop?
It gives an opportunity for us to engage in a conversation when you have questions already prepared. Holding workshops
Okay.
is good as well if the workshop and the stakeholders are like the business areas where stakeholders are coming from, if they are closely
Okay.
related in the business space. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. Very good. Okay, I'm also seeing a couple of C's. Who would like to talk about workshops over questionnaires?
So yeah, I think it should be letter C or workshops, because there is what we call nonverbal communication also, and there are a lot of things that you would learn from a stakeholder with nonverbal cues.
I agree with you. Does anyone remember which one the Babok says? I've got more C's than B's right now. I'm going to go ahead and check the answer. So guys, our experience is very valuable. What the Babok says is what you've got to learn to be able to pass this test. I want you to pass the test. So for this one, when it talks about interacting with a group of stakeholders, it's going to be asking about workshops.
So just a question
Okay.
around
Yes.
just a question around the questionnaire and the survey. Sorry, I'm just going to ask you this question because I didn't open my book. Is that suggesting you're just circulating the questionnaire and not organizing a meeting? Is that what it implicits?
Yes. Questionnaire
Okay,
is
cool.
you send an email out. You're not talking to
Yeah.
them.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
No problem. No problem. Okay, what is the business analysis body of knowledge contained? This is the Babok. The definitive sequence of tasks that business analysis perform to properly analyze or evaluate the necessity of change to reach the business objectives? Or does it contain the standards and methodologies to which all business analysts should adhere? Or the sum of knowledge within the profession of business analysis that is considered currently accepted practice or best practices in the industry? This is right in the very beginning of chapter 1. I've got C. Okay, I've got more C's than A's. So this is exactly the definition verbatim. The sum of knowledge within the profession of business analysis. I had someone say it was A. I want to talk about this. The book does not give you a sequence of tasks. It gives you suggestions on things that you need to consider. They're all important. Every single one in there is important. Even if you never do it, it's important for you to consider it. If you do it in the order of the Babok or the Business Analysis Book of Knowledge, you're going to be doing things that are unnecessary. And you're going to be skipping things because some of these things have to be done repeatedly, over and over. You're going to be doing things out of chapter 3 and chapter 5 at the same time if you're doing your job well, because you're going to have to continue to elicit requirements while you're doing solutioning or while you're doing requirements management. So if you think that you're doing it in the order of the book, you're going to hurt yourself. So I want to be very clear on that. Don't do it. Don't assume that you're going to do it in the order of the book or that you have to do every single thing that's in the book. That's not what it's saying to do, okay? Let's go on. A business analyst is defining how decisions about requirements and designs will be made. Which of the following techniques could be used to generate a list of potential approvers? So when it's saying defining how decisions and requirements and designs will be made, it's talking about assigning the tiebreaker. You know, we've got 4 people that are saying 4 different things. Who gets to say which one we're going to do? So are they talking about mind mapping, brainstorming, decision modeling, or document analysis? Which of the following techniques could be used to generate a list of potential approvers? I see lots of C's. Okay, let's go with C. My cursor is stuck on another screen. Here we go. And document analysis, oh, I'm sorry, I chose the wrong one. I apologize. Decision modeling is not the correct answer because it's not a stated technique in this task. The plan business analysis governance task is where you're going to be doing this, and it's not one of the techniques that's listed. However, brainstorming is a technique that's listed, and it can be used to generate a list of potential stakeholder names. And it's giving you the reference of this is exactly where it's talking about it. So if you want to go look it up to see, go ahead and have your book open if you want to while we're taking this, so you can solidify that idea for yourself. Okay, next. As a business analyst, you are in the process of documenting the overall method that will be followed when performing business analysis work on a given initiative. You've considered several possible approaches. You now want to determine the optimal business analysis approach to use for this initiative. Which guideline would you utilize? So guidelines are in every single task, and the process of documenting the overall method is your planning, right? So you're going to use the organizational centers of excellence, expert judgment, methodologies and framework, or business policies. So in the task, which of the guidelines are you going to be using? I got a D. Brian, why do you like D? I got a C. D, why do you like C?
How many other approaches you have to go back to the methodologies and frameworks that are best in the industry practices.
That's good logic. Good job. Anybody else? Okay, got a couple of more C's. Let's check this answer. Expert judgment will help in determining the optimal approach in your planned business analysis approach task. So this is the task, which is the first task in the chapter 3. You see it's chapter and then task number, and then this is the section within that task. Methodology is a framework. They will serve to shape the approach, but will not necessarily provide the optimal approach. Guys, whenever we make mistakes, this is our opportunity to learn. It's not something that's like, oh no, I can't do this. It's, oh, now we're better equipped. And this is the place where we want to make the mistakes if we're going to make them. We want to learn now so that when we're taking the test, we're not making the same mistakes. So let's keep going. You're developing an approach for how business artifacts will be stored, accessed, and shared. Which set of stakeholders would you involve in this task? Would it be, now, developing the approach on how it will be stored, accessed, and shared? This is the definition of one of your tasks, and that task has a list of stakeholders. In the stakeholders, are they the domain subject matter expert, the tester, and the regulator? The sponsor, the domain subject matter expert, the regulator, and the customer, the domain subject matter expert, regulator, sponsor, or the project manager, domain subject matter expert, regulator, and sponsor. So regulator is in all of these. Sponsor is in the last two. Domain subject matter expert is in all of these. Enrico, are you giving us the reference in the Bablock 3.4.7? That's pretty cool. Okay. I've got two answers. I've got A and C. So what's the real difference between A and C? A has tester in it, and C has regulator. I
Sponsor.
need it. Okay, I got two C's. I'm going to check the answer, and that is correct. One of the reasons that regulator needs to be involved is whenever you store your documents as a business analyst, if you're in a highly regulated industry, sometimes they need access to those for 8 years or 10 years or whatever your retention policy is. So that's one reason regulator is the thing that makes me remember which one this is. Okay, next one. You are a business analyst of a construction project. The project management team is currently engaged in a meeting to decide whether the work related to building 2 swimming pools in a posh residential complex area will be managed in-house or outsourced to a preferred vendor. Based on this decision, you may need to change your plan of carrying out your business analysis activities on the project. In which of the following tasks are you currently engaged? So determining this information is in which of these the tasks. Now remember, there's only 5 in it. Plan business analysis approach, analyze current state, prepare for elicitation, or plan business analysis governance. Now remember, we're looking at the task in Chapter 3. Is this a task in Chapter 3? It's not a task in Chapter 3. So we know this can't be one of the answers. So I see, trying to get to my other screen here. I have B. Which of the 3 tasks that are left would it be? Would it be, okay, I've got an A. State, you want to come off mute and tell us why you think it's A?
I think the approach changes based on the solution here. So I think they're just a BA is just coming up with his ideas or coming with a approach strategy based on the solution design.
I like that logic. Do I have a second vote? Anybody? Okay, I've got 2 A's. Let's go ahead and check that answer, and that is correct. The planning process is iterative, and plans are updated to address changing business conditions and newly raised issues. So figuring out who's going to be doing the work would definitely impact your plans on plan business analysis approach. Very good explanation. Which of the following statements is accurate about adaptive approaches? Remember, adaptive is the code word we use for agile. When we were writing the Babcock, we weren't sure if the word agile was going to be copyrighted. And between the time we were writing it and the time it was published, it's like a gray area. What if it's copyrighted during that time? Because it was brand new, guys. It had only been out for a couple of years, but it was really gaining traction in all industries. So they used the word adaptive instead. So adaptive approaches typically call for a formal documentation and representations. In an adaptive approach, planning may be done, but it is not essential. In an adaptive approach, mandatory requirements are often limited to prioritized requirement lists, or in an adaptive approach, tasks are performed in specific phases. Is there one of those answers that we know is absolutely not true?
Formal documentations.
Right. We know this one is not true. So now you have a 1 in 3 chance of just guessing the right answer if you didn't know any better. So now that we've eliminated that, what do we think is the right answer? I've
C, because you've got prioritized requirements list and you would go through your prioritization backlog.
That makes
Prioritized
good
backlog.
sense. Do I have a second vote? Okay, I've got 2 C's. Let's go. And that is correct. Adaptive approaches focus on rapid delivery of business value in short iterations, and the mandatory requirements, adaptive approach, prioritized requirements list is all about our adaptive agile. Stakeholders' attitudes can positively or negatively impact a change. It is therefore very important for a business analyst to develop and document a plan on how to effectively engage with each stakeholder group. Which of the following work products, so we're talking about a document, would help document the plans? Would it be a power and interest grid, online communities or wikis, stakeholder communications plan, or stakeholder collaboration plan? Is there one of those that is not in the BABOK?
The grid?
Right, I don't recall that one being in the BABOK.
Yeah.
So which one do we think is the right answer?
Collaboration plan.
Okay, I've got power and interest grid as being the right answer, and I have collaboration plan being the right answer. I need a tiebreaker, guys. Okay, got 2 Ds. Let's check this answer. As factors change during the life cycle of the initiative, the plan can be revisited and modified as appropriate to ensure the ongoing engagement of stakeholders, but the stakeholder collaboration plan is the document to help plan how to effectively engage with each key stakeholder group. Very good. The results of stakeholder analysis should be consulted and updated on a regular basis as stakeholders may change or new stakeholders may be identified throughout the project. However, one task should be complete before embarking upon this. Which task should be completed first? So it's probably an input to this that we're talking about. So would it be needs should be identified? Is that a task? I don't think so. Plan business analysis approach, project charter, or business case? I've got a
The
B.
case? Business case?
Is business case a task in the BABOK?
Okay, sorry.
It's okay. What you're saying makes perfect sense. And if
yes,
you've never
yes.
read the BABOK, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna check B. The plan business analysis approach output is an input to the plan stakeholder engagement, which includes stakeholder analysis. Manu, my chat is not scrolling, and so if I'm missing something, if you can speak up, I would appreciate it. Which of the following
Sure.
statements is accurate about the planned business analysis information management task? So this is the task, and we want to know which statement describes it. Information management entails identifying characteristics about the information that must be reused. The purpose of this task is to ensure that requirements are accurate and current throughout the life cycle and facilitate reuse where appropriate. The tool that is chosen to manage information only needs to store requirements and designs, or requirements that are potential candidates for long-term use are those an organization must meet on an ongoing basis.
It will be A, information that must be reused. We had a similar question earlier of information management and reusing requirements.
Okay, I've got 1 vote for A. Okay. Looks like
You have a
Enrico
second
says
vote
it's A.
for.
Very good. Well, this is part of that task. That is true. It must be maintained, and it's not always reused. But this one, requirements that are potential candidates, is examples of these are regulatory requirements, quality standards, service level agreements, and contractual obligations. So we're at 3.4.4.4 that explains this. So there's, in this particular task, there's several elements that make up the explanation of things that you need to do in it. And so these answers are giving you pieces of it. And this one, whenever it says that must be reused, you need to know that it's not always has to be reused. Not every requirement we make on a project can be reused, right? If we did that, they wouldn't need us anymore. But there's there are requirements that are specific to this project. Even if we do the exact same project again, not all those requirements can be reused because it changes. We've already done it once. Now, you're a business analyst working in the data strategy effort for your organization. You want to minimize your upfront uncertainty and maximize your control over the business analysis activities for the effort. What business analysis approach would be the best fit for this effort? So we're going to minimize upfront uncertainty, maximize control. So is it the analytical approach, predictive approach, adaptive approach, or change-driven approach? Which one of these fits that criteria? First of all, is analytical approach even in the BABOK, guys? Not so sure. Okay, what do we have in the chat, Manu?
We have C and D. There's Faith answered C and Brian
Adapting?
answered B.
Okay, well, let's talk
Boy,
about this.
as in boy, not dog. Be
Okay,
predictive.
okay.
Yeah.
Predictive or adaptive. So we want to minimize upfront uncertainty and maximize control. So predictive or adaptive. So we need a tiebreaker.
Oh,
Do we have
and
any others?
Mary Rue. Oh no, another back. There's a couple more answers. Another B and another C.
Okay, well, let's go with B and see what we get. Okay, so predictive is the code word for waterfall. And in predictive, you get all your requirements up front and you know exactly what you're going to do, and you send them off to the developers or the construction workers or whoever, and your job is finished because they know all the things they're supposed to do. In adaptive, it's the other way around. You give them just in time, this is what we need you to do right now for the next 2 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever. So predictive is waterfall, adaptive is agile. Regarding the element stakeholder communication needs, the business analyst must consider the blank of stakeholders. So is it the multi-location distribution, the primary language, the geographic location, or the elemental attitude? I don't know about you guys, but I don't remember elemental attitude being in the BABOK. So is it element stakeholder communication needs? Is it going to be where they are, geographic location,
Primary
or
language.
multi? Say it again.
I was thinking about the language we communicate.
Okay.
B.
What
That's
does
what
the
I'm
BABOK say? Okay. Fate says it's the C. Let's see if I can get my cursor back up here. Okay, let's try this one. So geographic location is the thing that the BABOK talks about. It also talks about a few other things, but it mentions geographic location whenever you're talking about thinking about where your stakeholders are. As soon as you were assigned as a BA2 initiative, you were advised to begin planning the governance approach to define how decisions will be made about requirements and designs. This is the who gets to do the tiebreaker. What would you expect to have available to you in order to create this plan? Would it be the business policies and current state description, the business analysis approach and stakeholder engagement approach, the current state description and lessons learned documentation from previous similar projects, or the business policies and or legal regulatory information. So you need to plan the governance approach. What do you need from this list according to the BABOK?
What are the inputs?
I got a B. I got 2 B's. Okay, let's check this answer. This is it. These 2 things, this is the inputs to the Plan Business Analysis Governance task. So if you know that what you're doing here, it falls into this task, it's easy to say these are the inputs that slide in. Very good, guys. As a business analyst, you have just finished assessing the business analysis work and have prepared a performance improvement plan. This is you planning, you assessing your own work on the project and saying, you know what, that's something I should have done earlier, or this is something I could have done better. Which of the following outputs will the details be captured? So outputs is a document. Would it be your assessment measures, business analysis performance strategy, planning and monitoring, or business analysis performance assessment? I see a D. I see several Ds. Okay, let's check it. That is true. This output includes a comparison of plan versus actual performance, root causes of the variance, proposed approaches to address issues, along with other findings to help understand the performance of the BA process. Next. Elements included in your plan business analysis approach task. So once again, this is the task, and these are the elements included. Which of the following? So communication needs, planning approach, formality and level of detail of deliverables, business analysis activities, timing of business analysis work, complexity and risk, and acceptance. Or planning approach, formality and level of deliverables, business analysis activities, timing of business analysis work, complexity and risk, acceptance attitudes. Or C, planning approach, perform stakeholder analysis, business analysis activities, timing of business analysis work, complexity and risk, and acceptance. Or planning approach, formality and level of detail of deliverables, business analysis activities, timing of business analysis work, complexity and risk, and acceptance. What do y'all think? What does the BABOK say? I see a C and a D. So, guys, why do you think it's the one that you said? What's missing in the other ones that is not missing in the one you want? And a B. Guys, it's the conversation that we have, that we talk about why we feel one answer is better, that everybody learns from and makes the recordings more valuable in the future as well.
I feel A because communication needs also should be documented in the approach.
That's good logic. But according to the
I
BABOK,
don't. Yeah, sorry. Go on.
no, it's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, attitudes. I wasn't sure if we spoke about attitudes in BABOK.
Okay. Let's see. Looking at the votes, I see more D's than anything else. Let's go with D and see what our answer says. And D is correct. These are the stated elements of the Plan Business Analysis Approach task. Very good. We are learning, guys. This is what we're here for. In which artifact would the proposed approaches to address issues be found? Would it be, so this is issues, the proposed approach to address issues. This is business analysis issue log, information management approach, item tracking, or business analysis performance assessment. Now remember, we're in chapter 3 where we're talking about the business analysis performance, how we plan our work, how we get it done. So of these, which one would it be?
You have a
Manu, tell me what.
you have a C,
Okay.
item tracking.
Do we think item tracking is chapter 3 artifact to address issues?
We also have an A, and EJ, Enrico says D 3.5.8.
Well, I kind of want to go with Enrico citing the source.
We have a couple of Ds, so it sounds like the
Okay, we have a
Ds,
couple of Ds. Okay, we got more than one. The BA performance assessment not only includes results, variances, and root causes, it also documents proposed approaches to effectively address performance issues. So, Enrico, I'm glad you understand where it is in the BABOK. Thank you so much. While carrying out the identified business analysis performance improvements task, so this is the task name, 1 of 5, so this not a lot to learn. Which of the following are some possible assessment measures? So assessment measures in this task: accuracy and completeness, knowledge, efficiency, organizational support, significance, strategic, and timelines, or accuracy and completeness, knowledge, effectiveness, organizational support, significance, strategic, and stability, accuracy and completeness, knowledge, effectiveness, organizational standards, significance, strategic, and timelines, or accuracy and completeness, knowledge, effectiveness, organizational support, significance, strategic, timelines. Okay, we've got a couple of answers now. I got 2 C's, looks like.
and there's a D with a reference 3.5.4.
It's right. It's there. These are the stated qualitative and quantitative measures for this task. So whenever we're working on this task, these are the things that we need to be able to consider. Very good. When conducting a thorough stakeholder analysis, the following resources may be required to be successful. Which of the following is least likely resource to be used? So a thorough stakeholder analysis, you know which part of which task in chapter 3 that is. Would it be the current state description, the change strategy, the business policies, or the business analysis performance assessment? I'm going to guess that this infers that you've done an assessment on yourself in the past and you're reusing it for this project. So you're doing a stakeholder analysis now. Which of these are least likely to be used?
We have a D and a B, a couple of Ds actually. It's
Okay.
overwhelmingly D.
Overwhelmingly D. Okay. But the business analysis performance assessment is one of the stated guidelines for this task. So we got to know that. Business policy is not one of the stated guidelines. But this is how we learn, right? Let's go. Of the following statements, which of the following statements best describes the adaptive planning approach? Remember, adaptive is the other word for agile. Adaptive approaches do not require documentation. Most business analysis work occurs at the beginning of the project or during one specific phase. Adaptive approaches focus on rapid delivery of business value in a short iteration, or formal documentation is produced before the solution is developed and implemented. What do we got, guys?
Okay, we have a C's. Everyone is answering C. Adaptive approaches focus on rapid delivery. Yes.
Very, very good. That is the right answer according to the Babcock. Many planning methods fit somewhere along the continuum between blank and blank approaches. Which of the following best completes the statement above? So is it between predictive and value-driven, event-driven, date-driven, predictive and adaptive, or plan-driven, change-driven? According
We have a
to
lot of
the
C's.
Babcock.
Yeah.
A
We have
lot of C's. Y'all
Easiest
are
question.
understanding. Good. The Babcock now uses these terms to refer to waterfall and agile approaches. Nick has just finished a report which shows some issues in the business analysis work for his current project. Specifically, there were several variances from what he expected, and he needs to address the issues. What should Nick do to address the variances? Should he update the business analysis approach for the project to correct the problems identified? Identify the root cause of variances from the expected performance and apply proposed approaches to address the issues? Report the variances to the stakeholders as business analysts are to be transparent and communicate any issues to stakeholders to avoid negative impact on the project, or document findings and lessons learned so that the issue is not repeated in future projects. So he's doing this on his current project. Which one should he do according to the Babcock?
You have mixed answers. So we have a couple of C's, a D, a couple of B's. So
Okay, guys, we
between
got to come
C
off
and
mute and
D.
let's talk about why.
Now it's between B, C, and D. Okay, it looks like B is
Okay.
the emerging answer, as in boy.
Okay, let's check it. In addition to identifying the root causes, Nick could also use other findings to help understand the performance of BA process. So let me step out for a second and explain this. When we create our plan for what we're going to do as a business analyst, we make agreements with some of our key stakeholders, with the sponsor, with the project manager, with the regulator, with a couple of other people. We keep those agreements. However, whenever I create my plan on how I'm going to perform, what I'm going to do in this project, sometimes I find that I have to adapt. And so just because I plan to do a workshop at this point doesn't mean that the workshop's really going to be needed whenever I get to that point. That is not a problem, it's an adaptation. But if you do find that you do have variances that need to be addressed, you need to address those openly and transparently with your key stakeholders. Any questions on that? Okay, we're going to view our results. We got an 84%. So guys, let's talk about this. Some of us have open books. That's awesome. You're not going to have open books during the test. Learning this is what you got to do to be able to get this kind of score in the test. Now, if you have an 84 on this and watermark is more confusing and strict and stringent than the test is going to be. The test is actually a little bit more straightforward and easy than watermark is. If you can get an 84 on your own, you're going to make a passing grade on the test. Now, let's talk about passing grades on the test. The test itself, we don't know what the passing grade is. We do know that it's adapted to the people currently taking it. So if everybody's doing a horrible job and you do a horrible job, as long as you're doing the best horrible job, you're probably going to pass. But that's not going to be the case. This is a worldwide test, so it's an average of everybody. The idea is if you're in the top third, you're probably going to pass. So if you're aiming for at least a 75 or an 80 on your test, you're probably going to pass. Can't say for sure because nobody knows, and it's a adaptive algorithm that they're running. If you can make 84 on watermark consistently on all the knowledge areas, I'm going to say that you're probably going to pass. Okay, it looks like we're at the end of our time. I know we started a little bit late. Does anyone have any questions before we stop? I'll tell you what, raise your hand if you do, and I'll come back to you. next week, in 2 weeks, we're going to work on the next knowledge area. The next knowledge area is going to be chapter 4. Okay? You have hours of recordings of this type of thing, going through these practice test questions with people talking about it from the Tampa Bay chapter. In Tampa Bay, we have a lot more conversations about, oh, look at that word. That word means you've got to be aware of these things. Anyway, it's much more robust, and you can get a lot more out of it because of the conversation. You also have the information on the Google Drive. Manu, I'm sure that the Philippines chapter has provided some training. Read the Babok. You've got to learn the voice of the Babok, because whenever you read it and see it, you're going to go, yeah, I recognize that. Enrico, you have a question. Go ahead.
I don't see that Enrico has a question. I see that Dee has her hand raised.
Oh,
Go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
Dee.
Dee has a question. I apologize.
Yes,
Dee, go ahead.
hi. Thank you so much. It's a great session. I think I'll be more prepared next time, in a fortnight's time. So my question is the drive, access to the drive. How do I get access to this drive? The Google Drive link you've shown.
If you go to rpchurchill.com, let's see if I've got, I think I've closed that one, so let me open it back up. If you go here, rpchurchill.com.
Okay, are you able to share that link, please, in the chat? Thank you. Appreciate it.
I think I can.
Here.
Okay,
I got it. Here you go.
Go here. I just put it there too. Okay, if you go to rpchurchill.com, you're going to the Bob's website.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it. Another one is the Watermark Learning. Is that a free guide, or do we need to pay the practice tests we've just done?
No, it's not. It's free if you attend these sessions, because for these sessions they're sponsored. But
right.
We do have a discount code for you. And it's, let me double check that. I think it's IIBA PH24. Let me just paste that in the chat.
Is this valid only for Philippines country or something, or because I'm
No.
Okay, cool.
As long as you're here in this
available.
group, then yeah, you can use it. Actually, yeah. As long as you're joining us.
Okay.
That's our agreement.
So thank you everyone who joined us today. We'll see you in 2 weeks. This is a thing that you will get out of it, how much work you put into it. If you put in just a little bit, if you skim over it, if you just listen and not participate, you're not going to get enough out of it, and you're not going to pass the test. The test is substantial. This book is 521 pages. You need to understand the book to be able to pass the test. We're giving you all the tips and tricks we can, but you've got to do the work. So doing work between now and the next meeting will mean that you come more prepared. Please come ready to talk. Our conversations will make it where you can understand it better and other people can understand it better, and you're going to learn from them. But if you don't speak up, they might not speak up. So, Manu, you want to close this out?
Okay, yeah. Thank you so much, Thea, for a great session. A lot of interesting learning for today. A lot that we need to review on. Good score on 84, but those are open book. That was an open book performance. So I think there's a lot of ground to cover and a lot of improvement to do to get people ready for the exam. But it's a good start for sure. And looking forward to the next one. Please join us for this Thursday's session. Actually, we'll be focused on interviewing, which is, as Thea mentioned, the most widely used technique in the Babok. So we're gonna deep dive into that technique. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for joining. Looking forward to seeing more of you guys. Thank you, Thea.
Thank you. Talk to y'all next week. I'm gonna come to the interviews.
Awesome. Yeah. See you there.
Bye, guys.